Okay, so I guess I'm recording right now. Okay, so hello everyone. Uh, my name is Grieving Indonesian. Obviously, that's not my real name. It's just a username I go by on YouTube. So a little bit about myself, since this is my first video. I'm a 45-year-old widower living in Bandung, Indonesia. I'm currently raising two sons. My oldest son is 18 years old. He's in his first semester of college. And my youngest son is 5 years old. He's in kindergarten right now. So I lost my wife just over 2 years ago. And I don't think I have fully recovered yet. I mean, honestly, I don't think I ever will. Um, this is precisely the reason why I created this YouTube channel as a form of catharsis, I guess, as a way to vent and release some of the overwhelming emotions that come with loss and pain and grief, right? So, if you've recently lost a spouse, whether it's a husband, wife, partner, or whatever, before you continue watching this video, let me be clear on what this video is not. This video isn't a positive video. It's not gonna offer you any, solution or profound truths, concerning losing a loved one. It's not gonna teach you how to survive, your loss and your grief. In short, this is a depressing video. Honestly, it is. It offers no solution. And in short, this is just me being selfish, I guess. This is just me ranting about my unfiltered and raw experience in dealing with loss and pain. So if you're still here, let's begin. So I lost my wife to a condition called ALS. It's a neurodegenerative disease with no known cure and no known treatment. Uh, if you're curious about what ALS is, I'll leave a link in the description so you can see how fatal it is, how deadly it is. So, ALS is unrelenting. It robs you of your ability to speak, to move, and eventually to breathe, right? So, my wife battled ALS for 3 long years. Over time, her body betrayed her, piece by piece. First, she lost function in her arms and legs, and then she eventually became bedridden and wheelchair bound. So my oldest son and I, we took care of her as best as we could. We cared for her, we bathed her, we feed her, knowing that, where the road would eventually end, would eventually lead us, right? So I thought I had prepared myself. I thought I had convinced myself that I accepted what was coming. But nothing could have prepared me for the day when she didn't wake up. Um, that day shattered me, that day ruined me in every sense of the word. I I broke down completely. My mind, my body, my heart. I mean, they all just shut down. Right. Um, it was my son and my family and friends and relatives who took care of the arrangements for my wife's funeral. I simply couldn't function. I was numb. I didn't know that level of sadness existed. It was debilitating and it left me broken. So it's been more than 2 years later. I'm still stuck in that moment. I still haven't recovered. And nights are the worst. I go to bed around like 10 or 11 p.m. and I turn off the lights and I just lie there awake, wide awake. Memories flood in, her smile, her cooking, the warmth she brought into our lives. It's an endless loop of remembering and longing that leaves me feeling hollow and broken. It takes hours for me to sleep. Often I drift off around 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., not from finding peace, but out of, pure exhaustion. Um, And when I wake up the next morning, it's always the same, an overwhelming emptiness. So I force myself out of bed, to make some breakfast for me and the kids. But eating, it's not something that I enjoy anymore. At this point, I'm honestly just forcing down food. Eating is just a means that, for me to stay alive, to continue living this worthless existence. Grief is suffocating. I mean, sometimes it feels like I'm drowning, gasping for air that never fully fills my lungs. It's as if the weight of my sorrow presses down on me, on my chest, making it impossible for me to breathe. It comes in waves. Some days are more bearable than others, but the feeling is always there, lurking in the background, just waiting to pull me under. And yet here I am, still alive, still breathing, still surviving. But what for? That's a question I still don't have the answer to. And you know, one thing that makes the grieving process a bit worse is just people just don't understand sometimes. I mean, grief is already hard enough to bear. Some people seem to find ways to make it worse. As if my own pain wasn't enough. I've had to deal with well-meaning but insensitive family members and friends, who think they have all the answers. Come on, move on already. It's been 2 years, they say, often followed with a disgusting laugh. Feels like a slap in the face, to be honest. Or, worse, they suggest I find someone new, a replacement wife, a replacement mother for my children. Yeah, right. As if you can simply replace 22 years of life and love with someone else that easily. Well, it's not that easy. My wife and I met like 22 years ago in college. We were inseparable for all those years. We were dating before we got married and starting a family together. My wife and I built a life together. We had two wonderful sons and created memories that simply cannot be erased. I mean, if you've been in a relationship that long, it's impossible to just move on, right? She wasn't just a part of my life. She was my life. So others, in their misguided attempts to help, tell me to just stop feeling sad. They claim my late wife would be heartbroken if she saw me grieving like this. But here's the thing, grief doesn't work that way. It's not like a TV that you can just switch off, end of story. The pain doesn't disappear just because someone tells you it should. So, how do I respond to these people? Honestly, I tell them to just shut the fuck up, okay? It's not the ideal or most diplomatic response, but when you're hurting, sometimes you just can't help but react from that place of raw emotion. Like after telling them off, I usually just walk away before things get even more heated. But sure there have been arguments, but in the end, you know, I hold my ground and they usually back off. Else they risk a fight with me. So what I'm trying to say is that people mean well, but they don't always understand, right? Just if you're grieving, just be prepared for this. Some people will try to rush your healing as if grief has an expiration date. Well, it doesn't. So you might be wondering, how do I carry on? Well, if there's one thing you can take away from this video, is that the road ahead won't be easy. You've got a tough time in store for you, if you're grieving, I mean. And the best advice I can offer is to brace yourself, steel yourself. You've got a bumpy ride ahead of you. It's not going to be a smooth journey. As for me, I haven't fully recovered yet, and I don't think I ever will, like I said before. And there are no wise words I can impart you or leave you with. Grief doesn't come with a handbook. Uh, But over time, I will say that it gets a bit easier, easier to bear. The weight doesn't disappear, but you learn to carry it differently. And through it all, I hold on to the belief that, inshallah, my wife and I will walk together again in the hereafter. That faith gives me comfort um, as I continue on. And while the pain of her absence weighs heavily on me every day, my faith reminds me that this separation is temporary. I have faith that my wife and I will be reunited in a place free from suffering, where no disease can touch her and no sorrow can reach me. So yeah, thank you for watching this video.